it's Deb from Deb Web Art here, and a happy 2025 to you. I hope it started well. So in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about 5 art techniques for self-nurturing. But I think it's a really important concept to look at ways that you can nurture yourself in your everyday life and try and make space for creating, because creativity is what really helps you to connect. And creativity spans so many different things, not just in art, and specifically art and painting and that sort of stuff. It actually spans a lot of different things. So, but obviously on this channel we're just looking into the art aspect of it. So today what I wanted to look at, I've just got a little piece of paper here, so if I keep looking down it's just to remind me what to say. What I wanted to look at was 5 techniques, 5 things, how you can help yourself. Number 1 is neurographic art. Number 2 is pattern making or mark making. Number 3 is abstract collage. Number 4 is art journaling. And number 5 is magazine altering. Now each of these techniques have been things that I've used so much in my practice, and they've really helped me in times when I have felt just a little bit overwhelmed, or I've felt a bit stressed, or I haven't felt connected in some way. And in some of these instances I've had to force myself to create, which is why a lot of these are quite plain. So in other words, they can be easily done anywhere. Okay, you don't necessarily need to have paint to do them. In this video I'm basically talking about different techniques. You can take whatever materials you're comfortable with, and then you can create with those materials. How does that sound? Hopefully self-nurturing. That's what I was going for. All right, so I will we'll start demonstrating. So first up is neurographic art. And neurographic art is just literally taking your pen for a walk on the paper. I've only done the masking stuff just to keep the paper still while I demonstrate. Very often I'll just do this on a regular piece of paper, and I won't have any fancy schmancy stuff going on. Okay, I've decided that when I've made my lines, I'm going to use some watercolour. And this watercolour is Gansai Tembi, and it is the Graphite tint. So it looks quite dull almost, but I thought of just adding little bits of gold here and there. So I have no idea how that's going to turn out, but basically it's watercolour. Okay, so I've decided that. You can use pencils. This technique is lovely with pencils actually. You can use pencils, you can use oil pastels, you can use pastels, you can use whatever you like. Okay, you could use acrylics in there if you want. Paint pens, all that. So I'm going to do the neurographic art, and I'm going to speed this up so that you can see it in action fast. Right, for the second technique, we're going to do mark making or pattern making. And I've just got the black over here. Now, I did dabble around to decide what did I want to use on this, because I've got oil pastels, I've got pencils, and honestly, black has a great background for a lot of these particular ones. Even you can do watercolour on black as well. So, but I then decided I'm going to use acrylic paints, so I picked up these 3 colours. This one's a bronze, this one is called turquoise green, and then white. And thought, well, I'll just play around with those 3 colours. It's always a good idea to have whatever you're going to play with right in front of you, because then it just makes it that much less stressful. And then 3 different size brushes. This one's about 1 centimeter, that one's about 1/2 centimeter, and then a pointed brush. Okay, so that's my plan. Let's just see how this turns out. So art technique number 3 is abstract collage. So I must admit, I did go through my stash so I could make this an even process, and just kind of picked out things that I thought would go well together with some color schemes and things, right? So I've already put forward a few things that inspire me and allow me to put stuff on the background. So what I thought of doing is I was going to put stuff on the background, and then I found this cool little good vibes only, and thought, oh, I'll use that and put that on top maybe. So that's my plan for now. Obviously, when you're creating, things can actually change. So I've got these are collage bits and pieces that I've made using gel press. So I'm going to use those. I've got matte medium for the glue that sticks down the collage. I've also got some posca pens, paint pens, and of course I've got access to pencils if I feel I want to. So with this one, I will put down the collage, and obviously then I will have to let it dry before I can do any kind of extra work on top. Let's see how we go. Okay, so with this collage, it's all nicely dry now. I've still got it stuck down just because I felt it was easier to decorate while it's stuck down. And then I'm going to incorporate some paint pens, possibly a pencil or 2. And I thought of putting in some neo pastels, but I'll also use, I'm going to see, hopefully some of these work. I'm going to do some white pen, some black pen, you know, that sort of thing. So just decorating now. It's a time to just let go, really. So technique number 4 is art journaling. Okay, and I'm always art journaling. I've got this journal filled with all sorts of things. So what I thought of doing is I've got this page on the side that I posted on Insta at some point. It's completely papers. It's a collage. And it was one of those intuitive collages, right? So I looked at that and thought, well, why don't I write, because that was very self-nurturing, so it kind of goes with this theme of now. So I think on this side I'm going to write about what does it mean to me, how can I nurture myself, what sort of things can I be doing, and I'm going to do a write on the base here. Very similar colors to this in acrylics, and paint over my words. I like doing that. And then this will be a bit mixed media piece. So there might be a bit of pencil, there might be some oil pastels, but you can, you know, when you're doing something like this in art journaling can be anything, literally anything. So whatever you have, you can use in your art journal. I'd have to say oil paint might not be the right choice just because it takes so long to dry. So I would definitely probably not put that in. You can use oil pastels, but there's a certain technique you need to use in order to allow them to sit for a while, and have other journals that you can work in while you let that sit for a while. So so that's why I'm choosing acrylics mostly, and then I'll just see how that works. But yes, so first I'm going to be writing my journal about what it means to me to be self-nurturing. Right, so because I had this on this side, I took the paper had been covering it and protecting it. I took that away and then looked at the two together, and then decided that I need to bring in a little bit more of this kind of darker green type colors. So I just put on my palette some ultramarine blue, green oxide, and white. And I'll probably actually add the green light as well, just to do some blending. So I'm going to bring in some dark colors, and then I'll probably dive into mark making and such. And finally, the fifth technique is called magazine altering. So I just went to a newsagent and bought one of the cheaper but still posh looking magazines, mostly because I quite like the paper, and I also wanted lots of female figures, okay? But of course there's all sorts of other interesting things. You can also use this in your gel printing. It makes really nice textural prints. So that's another thing to look at. So for instance, I just had the best time with my posca markers, and I did it in different ways. So with this one, so the backing is quite wibbly wobbly, but it still works. Like, you can go straight on. And same with this one. Let me just hold it up so you can sort of see. Okay, and then with this one, I tried something a little different. With this one, if you listen, it's got a different sound. I put down clear gesso first because I wanted to reinforce the page and just see, does it make a big difference? It does, because the page is more sturdy. It's not quite as wibbly wobbly on the back, but it did make it a little bit more tricky with the actual poscas. The effect is still essentially the same. So yeah, you can decide how you want to do it, but it's just so much fun because you literally are going, I'm just going to create a whole new picture. I don't even remember what she looked like before, but it doesn't matter because it's all in the name of fun. It's one of those things where you can just let your imagination run. You can do exactly what you want to do, and you can create a different scenario. It's just like, yeah, whimsy, fun, and you just honestly, you're expressing your imagination. So what I thought I would do, I didn't want to do a whole one because they're actually quite long in the sense that they can take me a little bit of time. What I do is I have them, I have the magazine near me in my art studio, and when I'm feeling a bit blocked, I'll pick it up and open up to the latest thing that I'm working on, and I'll do some more. So that's pretty much like a little exercise for me. So I just thought I would choose a small one. So just like a little handbag. This bag will be the highlight of this, and I'll just show you basically what it's about. So just so that I can keep it small. Okay, let's see how we go with that. Let's just recap. These were 5 art techniques that can help you to nurture yourself, basically like a self-healing, okay? And the reason we say that is because all of them allow you to switch off. Most art will allow you to switch off, but there are some that are a little bit more demanding. So what we did was we took the ones that were not as demanding, and that's basically what makes self-nurturing art. So this one here was the Neurographic art, and literally you're just taking a pen for a walk across the page. Normally you like to start somewhere off the page, head along, keep squiggling around. You can make it whatever shapes you like, and then you can fill it in. And as you saw in the video, I went back and just kind of filled in some corners. I wasn't really using the right pen for that, but it all worked out in the end. And then I just grabbed watercolors and just colored in, really. And I like the effect that the little bits of gold gave in it as well. So that's why I just popped the gold in. Now, I can take that further, which is what you can do. You could choose one of these techniques, do that part, and then when it's dry, you could fill in and you can make patterns in all of these little areas. Gorgeous patterns. So, you can, with all of these, I reckon you can just take it further, okay? These were just art techniques that I wanted to show you. And then the second one was pattern making or mark making. And this in itself can be very, this is very relaxing because you're literally just repeating. There's something very soothing about repeating patterns, okay? I enjoyed this one, and I think if I did want to add more to it, it'd probably be like with a white gel pen, maybe doing some little squares around all of these, maybe doing little circles around. I might do that just as a contrast, but just in itself, it actually does look pretty effective. So yeah, it's just completely mark making or pattern making, and that is very soothing. And the thing to remember with this is just have a few different brushes, different size brushes with you. Pre-choose your colors so there's no anxiety about the colors you need next. You just pre-choose, you have it all set up, and then you go. And that's the technique as well. It's part of the technique. And then the third art technique is just abstract collage. And I found this one really fun. I like collage, I really do. And what I did before coming on camera and actually putting it together was I obviously had some sort of idea. I grabbed a few collage papers and was sort of looking at them, and then when I saw this little sign, good vibes only, I was like, yes, I'll put that one in. And because it had butterflies, I scrambled to try and find my butterfly punch, and then that was how those little butterflies came about. So it was really just how it all came about in the end. But the trick is to having everything with you. So when you're putting everything together, it just flows and it becomes a really lovely, nurturing experience, as opposed to any kind of frustration that can sometimes occur when we are creating art. Okay. And then of course I used a little bit of oil pastel, and there's so much more you can do to it, but at the same time it's also nice in its simplicity. I know it doesn't seem simple to some people in the sense of that it's not like a very clear defined piece of art, but for me, I love mark making and everything. I just wanted to keep going, and then thought, no, let's just step back and let it sit for a bit. So that's what I'm doing. I'm being really disciplined about that. And then of course there is this one here, which is the art journaling. So this one was where I wrote underneath. Basically I wrote one long line. So I spoke all about nurturing myself under this page, and then I wanted to sort of match these. They kind of match, not totally, but that's also good. And that's where the color inspiration came from, and literally just plopping the paint on as you saw. It was to me, there doesn't appear to be rhyme or reason, but it's just my main focus is fun. I like to remind myself of certain patterns that I like to make. I like to remind myself that I like to put leaves and flowers and things, like just, and so it becomes really random, but it gets filled with things that I enjoy. And I could have carried on for sure. I could have perfected some things, absolutely. But I like it like this. And because it's in my journal, it's just an extra happy piece that I can have in my little book. So when it comes to the abstract journaling, it's also a case of when you're putting it in a journal, you can honestly put down whatever you like. But my suggestion would be pre-choose your colors. You can always add one, like I did with the dark green. I sort of looked across and went, oh yeah, that could be one thing that I tie up. And it also gave a contrast, a bit of a dark kind of contrast. So, play around with that, but pre-select, have brushes, have the colors, and go. And that's going to take away most of the pondering and the sitting around trying to figure things out, which makes art hard to a certain extent. Okay, and then the final one was the magazine altering. Oh, so much fun. Obviously I did just a quick little one. I didn't go over it a second time. Sometimes because they get like these little marks in them, I will leave them to dry, and then I'll come back and I'll go over them. It's really important that you leave them to dry, because otherwise it's sort of like it resists you adding more things on top. So that's the thing. When I went into this, I did not know at all what I was going to do. But before this handbag was sitting on like a violin, abstract kind of photograph, very dark. And hey, it's my nature to make things light and happy. So I focused on the heart and thought, that's what I'm going to do. I made it pink. I was going to keep it red, but I really do gravitate more to the pinkies, those kind of colours. So I just changed it. That one is very fun as well. One that you can really just get lost in, because it's just, you've got all these pages. I mean, there's 100 pages in here of potential. So one of the best investments was, I think it was like at $9.99, this magazine. All right. So, let me just turn the camera on to face me. We'll finish this up. Well, I hope you had as much fun as I did, and take away from that what I mean, and that is use different ways of doing art to nurture yourself. So if something like the neurographic art with the lines and the filling in of all the little holes makes you a bit anxious, then that's clearly not very self-nurturing for you. So the trick is to actually just have a little go at all of them. Just have scrap paper or have something not too precious with you when you try them out, and then see which kind of art technique does feel like you could really relax and enjoy. Okay, because that is the whole purpose of this video, is to find what art technique do you feel the most relaxed doing, because then that becomes your nurturing technique. And if you can find a way to fit that into your day, if you can do it daily, perfect. But if you can't, find a way to fit it into some days during the week to just allow your mind to rest. It takes your mind away from all the pressures of the day, and it allows you to just rest. Now, if you've got young kids, you could actually include them in this activity and have a little 10 minutes of creating time where you all have your pieces of paper, or you all have whatever, and you just do a little exercise. And for the young ones as well, they could also find which exercise makes them the happiest. Okay, so it's something that can definitely be done by the whole family, but if it's just you and you feel like you want to keep this to yourself, then that is your way of nurturing yourself. I just find that there's so many ways we can find to allow ourselves to feel better, or to allow ourselves to just rest. Often we don't give ourselves permission for that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It really does help the algorithm, helps things being seen, and my task here today is to try and help people to find ways to relax with art. Don't forget, if you want to leave me a comment, I'd love to hear from you as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.